So thank you for all joining this session. I'll get started in few minutes. Just let me write this all the topics which we're gonna cover in this upcoming and today's session. So maybe we should be good. So in previous session, whoever has attended my previous session, we didn't start with actual agenda. By the way, we wanted to have this interactive session, so we had a random topic and we discussed on those topics. So few of the topics like what is database, why there is need of database. So far we had a random discussion on SQL related queries. So we just wanted to have this. Why? Because like I wanted to know like how how much we are aware of SQL, so that I can understand the audience, and based on that we can interact more, and it will even help me to understand in better way what content to be uh, content to be discussed here. So we have agenda is if you talk about SQL, we have a big agenda, and in this agenda we'll be talking about introduction about the SQL today. Then let's see in introduction what and all we can cover today. Then most probably today or like in next session we'll get started with the practical usage of SQL. Let's see how much we are able to cover today. Then based on that, we'll see how much we can cover it. Also, we have back and forth questions as well, right? So that also we need to take it up. So time permits, we'll start today. Otherwise, we'll get started in upcoming session. So we'll get started with the introduction of SQL. So as you everyone know that this is a SQL session. So in SQL session, we have agenda as I am mentioning here, and first topic is introduction to the SQL. So when I talk about SQL, it is just not a SQL. When you talk about SQL, it's a structured query language, but we'll just not discussing that. We'll be discussing beyond that. That is what I wanted to emphasize here, and. So we'll be discussing. We will be taking one of the database vendor, which who provides the implementation to the SQL query. SQL query language, and we'll going ahead. We'll be using that database for practical usage. So that is that is the that is the that is what we are going to do. Right. So if I get started, we gonna use MySQL database. So I put it here, MySQL. Okay. Did anyone use MySQL in their real time, or like anyone has developed any applications, or like they have used it for any their personal use or personal project development, or like you have used it in any industry or any project or in company? If you have any prior knowledge, you can go ahead and talk about it. Anyways, I'll get started in some time. Okay, so let's get started. MySQL is a open source relational database. Why I'm talking a relational database? It is a relation because we have a relation between the table. So we actually gonna have a, when you create a table, we create the relation between the tables. So that is why it is a relational database. We have It is just like why we have a relation between the table, because each and every table may not be, but each and every table, in most of the cases, we are going to one or more table we are going to relate each other and try to perform a business problem solution using those two table or more than that tables, right? So so MySQL uses the structured query language for accessing and manipulating data. So I was talking about accessing and manipulating in previous section also. So what is meant by accessing? Accessing is like fetching a data from the particular database table. So database is where we store, where we have created, already been created database tables. And in order to access the data from the table, we need to write a query. So that is where query comes in a picture. We'll be we'll be talking a lot on that topic, by the way. But yeah, to access the data from the database, we have to write the query. So we have to write a select query. So let's say if you do select star from employee, right? Now when you pull a data from here, so let's say here what will happen when you select star from employee, it will pull star. What is select? Select is the one which indicate that how many column you gonna select, or star indicate like how many star indicate all the columns from that particular table. From indicates from which table you gonna pick it, and employee is the table name. So select is a keyword. Star indicate how many. Star indicate all the columns. If you don't, if you don't want to fetch all the data from the table, you can put ID, name, address. So in this case, you will be fetching only the three column data from the employee table. Now here, if you here just we are fetching the data, right? Not doing anything else here. Just we are fetching the data. Now, apart from that, like this is we are accessing the data from the table, right? Now let's say you want to manipulate the data. Manipulation of the data. How do you do manipulation? Here, manipulation. So access is actually called as a fetch. Like if you are fetching a data from the database tables. And what is the manipulation? Manipulation talks about it's performing non-select operations. Okay, what do you mean by non-select operations? Insert, then we create. We'll quickly talk about that. No, in SQL, what is that we're gonna cover quickly. Just in introduction, I'm just discussing, right, what is SQL database. In that sense, I am just telling you what and all it covered in the manipulation. So manipulation is non-select query, which allows you to create, insert, update, uh, delete, and also drop. Okay. Now these will be discussing a lot more in upcoming session. So immediately after this, right? So we have different types of operation we perform. We have like DDL, DML, and DCL. Okay. So types of operations to be performed. Okay, after the DDL, DML, DCL. Anyone talk about what is DDL, what is DML, what is DCL? Let us have interactive session.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about this.
Yes, sir. DDL means data definition language. DDL commands are used to perform operation on table structure. That means
Okay, nice. Anyone wants to try?
Ideal means data definition language means that means say DDL means data definition language means data can be integer, can be variable, can be character.
Mm-hmm. Can anyone tell me what are the operation? What are all operation we perform in DDL?
yes, sir. I have a four examples, sir. First is create, second is alter, and third is truncate, and fourth is drop.
Okay, nice. And anyone else want to try? Or one more is there. So in data definition, it's a DDL meaning data definition language, right? So now, if you talk about data definition, what do you mean by definition? Okay, definition is something we are when you're creating a table, uh, we are trying to create a structure of structure of the table. So how will you create? Trying to create and manipulate. Okay, at the same time. So when you create, manipulate, it covers creating the table. You are altering the table. I mean modifying table. You can even drop the table. You can truncate the table. You can rename the table. Because there was something was there was rename, right? That was left behind. I think you tried well, but rename was left out. So I was talking about how many we have. One, two, three, four, five. So we have five DDL, data definition language commands. What are those commands, right? Our first command is a create. So what do you mean by create? Create is a command to create a table. What is it? To create create a new table. I mean, there should be a question why new, because when you create a table, it should be a new table. So therefore, it's a new table or database or view or any other objects. So that is the use of create. Now let's talk about alter. We'll go through one by one practical session of all. Okay. I'm just going through the definition, then we'll take the practical session of each. Now, what is alter? Alter meaning alter itself has its own meaning. Alter means modify. So it modifies the existing database objects, right? Now, modifies the existing database objects. Okay. Now, what is that modifying object? Okay, you might be asking, what is that we are modifying? Adding, removing the what columns. So basically, alter is a command which we use to add a column, remove a column, right? Or that is what we mostly do. Okay, and uh, next is a drop. I'm sorry. What is drop? Drop is a command again. It's used to delete the deletes the database objects. Okay, what do you mean by database objects here? Tables, database, etc. That is what drop. Okay, there should be some question when I am talking about the next command, that is a truncate. Truncate. Okay, truncate is used to remove all the records from a table. right? Because truncate used to delete the all the records from the table. Now, some might have like someone might have like question: what is difference between drop and truncate? It is also deleting. This is also deleting, right? Now, if we talk about a bit difference about drop and truncate, see, when you wrote command drop, it is deleting the data from the table. Okay, once you delete the data, it cannot be rehooked or roll back. Okay, what do you mean by rollback? Something, let's say you drop a table. Once you drop, you cannot roll back that table. Once it is created, it is like permanent operation. Permanent operation performed on the table. So once you delete, it won't be rolled back. Okay, cannot be rolled back. It's a permanent operation. Now, here is something called truncate. Truncate is it's meant for deleting records. Okay, deleting table and deleting record both are different. Delete record of a table. So let's when you write a truncate doesn't remove the table. Basically, truncate keeps the table, right? Keeps the table, and it only removes the records within the table. Hope it is making sense. Are you guys following me? You can thumbs up, you can answer. Mm-hmm. Nice. Now, there is one more command is rename. Okay. Now, why rename is there is because this command is useful when you have mistakenly created a table or column and you wanted to rename them. Okay. Let's say created a table by the name employee. But I feel employee is so generic table, it's a employee details, but employee of who? College employee, industry employee, or it could be anyone, right? So I wanted to rename it. So what I have to do? I have to rename from employee to, let's say, college employee. Any name you can give, by the way, college employee. So to do that, just not the table name, we can also add column name. What is this? Let's say employee has ID and name. Now, but you feel that I want to modify, or I want to rename ID to something else, name to something else. Like let's say I wanted to rename ID to UID or name to employee name, something. So in this is the where someone has asked or some requirement is there to change the table name or a column name, we can use the rename command. So that is the use of rename command, right? So these are all DDL commands. Okay. Now there is a note here. Once we perform the DDL operation, we cannot rollback. Okay, if you create, once you create, I mean, what do? You can, I mean, once you create, you can delete. But I'm talking about the operations which once you have performed, like we cannot roll back them, like drop, truncate, rename, alter, right? Because there is no provision to roll back. Even if you create, you cannot roll back. Created, like how can you make it like it was not exist, right? So these all operations, once you perform them, uh, you cannot roll back them. These are not, any of the operations. So that there is a note here. We cannot roll them back at any point of time once you perform these all the operations. Hope it is clear. Anyone has any queries on this, you can please raise. Anyone? Can anyone?
इफ एनीवन हैव एनी डाउट, अगर किसी को कोई डाउट है तो प्लीज अपना क्वेश्चन रेज कीजिए, अदरवाइज प्लीज माइक ऑन करके बता दीजिए कि कोई डाउट नहीं है, सो वी गो अहेड.
If you are tell
No
me if
doubt,
you are
sir, all
understanding
clear.
what is your, yeah, you should be talking. I want you to talk about this, right? So we just started with the types of operation in SQL, and we just talk about DDL, right? I want you to talk about it. How much, are you understanding? You have any queries, anything, you just come up and ask me, sir. I have, okay, I'm good, you should go ahead, something that, so I'll come to know like how the session is going, right? Anyone has any doubt, please raise your hands. Looks like everyone understood. Let's get started with the next. So next command we have is data manipulation language. In data manipulation, Rajesh, language, we have 4 commands. Okay, which are those? Select, insert, update, and delete. Anyone has any query? Hello.
No, sir. By default, someone unmute himself.
All right, fine. So select is used to select the data. We can select the data or fetch a data from a table. Okay. So select we can use with multiple tables, right? When we have joins and all that, right? Also select can be used if you are creating a view, if you are creating triggers, on if you are creating procedure and all that. Within that, we can even use the select. So select is mostly or commonly used DML command, and the purpose of the select command is to fetch the data partially, or partially, or like complete data from the table. Like how we can say that is, let's say I was talking about this, like select, right? Select ID, name, and address from employee. This were partially data fetching from the table. Why I'm telling partially? Because I have mentioned only few columns here. So I'm just fetching partial data from the table, right? So let's say I wanted to fetch all the data from the table. I will use the star. Star is a keyword that indicate I'm gonna fetch all the columns. Star is indicating all the columns, all the columns. And select is for fetching the column data from a table. And from is a keyword indicate that from which table you are gonna fetch it. So let's say an employee. So from employee, I'm gonna fetch all the records. Okay, let's say employee has how many? These many records. So all the records has been fetched by using this query. Anyone has any doubt, questions, you can ask. Let's say you want to fetch just name. Specify, select name from employee. You can mention like that. Anyone has any query here? Go ahead,
No, sir.
please. Okay, great. Okay, next is insert. Insert is again a command. Insert is a command to insert the records to the insert, add new record, or insert. Instead of insert I would use word called add, that looks professional, to a table. Okay. Now in order to insert, there is a syntax. We'll talk about now one by one, and I'll also help you with real time how it works. I'll get just getting started with this now, right? Yeah. So to create, we have a syntax. Create is a keyword. Where you want to create a table. Where you want to create a table employee, and we need to specify a column and followed by data type. And if you have any constraints. Okay. Now constraint key. Let's say next again column. This let's be column 1, column 2, data type. Column 3, data type. Now this is the syntax example. What you do? Example is create table employee, column ID, data type, it's int. Now I was talking about constraint. What do you mean by constraint? Is constraint is enforce some rule. I'll talk about constraint separately when it comes, but I'm just taking this example. Say therefore, just right away I'm just trying to use it. Constraint is something which you are enforcing rule on database, table, column, right? So we are enforcing some rule. Okay, what is the rule you are enforcing here is a primary key. Okay, saying that here, I'm saying ID is a type of integer which is a primary key. Okay, what is a primary key is something where it should be a unique ID. Okay, and I want unique ID to be there. So let's say if you are trying to insert anything with the same record, let's say ID 1, you are trying to insert one more ID with the same. So this these rules or these constraint enforce that shouldn't be allowed to insert duplicate. Therefore, what we do, we add a constraint to the table. Okay, so id int primary key. Next, name is of type varchar. Okay, how many? So what is it here? Just try to understand what is this varchar. Variable character. Variable means it varies. Okay, it can vary, so that's why it's a variable char. Variable char. Variable means change. Okay, it can change. This database allows to change. Now it is a 50, so tomorrow you want 60, you can change. So that is why it is variable in nature. So varchar of says 50 characters, so it allows 50 characters. Now next, department of type varchar. Again, department is of like 50 character. And then we have salary. Anyone salary want to try? Salary is a decimal. And salary is in fractional. So it should be I want salary up to 10, range of 10. So I'll put 10. So this is a before precision. This is after precision. Okay, what is meant by precision? It is salary is stored a float data type. Float is something where it data which is in fraction or something, you know, you see some value where it has a fractions, right? So 10 comma 2 means you have a number. It can be up to 10 and it can have decimal up to 2. This is a max. Okay, so this is a one example I just gave. Now let's say if I write this query and create, it will try to create a table. Now let us see that. I'll just open one online MySQL one page. Maybe not this. Now here, what is that? We are trying to create a employee table, right? Like let's say here, they are trying to create employee table. Create table employee ID, integer, primary key. Now here it is bit different. They have used text here. Let me try to see if it is working for us. Create table, or I can try using this itself. But I'll try to use int varchar, because that's what the example I have taught you. And we have department of 50. Okay, now here we have employee ID, employee name, department, and one more is salary. Salary is of decimal 10,2. So what is this? Trying to create a table with employee ID of type int, has constraint of primary key, name of variable character type. It should be not null because I want name to be there, department to be there. Salary I don't want constraint, so I'm just skipping like that. Now if I try to create using this, run a query. Okay, it says the table already exists with the name. Okay, so we'll try with the name employee. Let's say 1. Employees. Let's say put employees. I think it is not looking that good. But anyways. It says check manual MySQL version. Yes. Okay. Okay, I think there is an issue using that. So let me put some student. Okay. Student, I'll try to use st student. Let us do one thing. Instead of doing it here, I'll take it out and write it there and bring it here. Student ID, let's say, type int. Great. Bring it back, paste. Delete it with the space and all that. Doesn't matter now. Now you see, student output has come out. 1, 2, 3 record. Okay. Let's see. Select star from student. And I'll try to fetch. There's nothing in it, but just created it. Okay. Now if I say describe student, if you look at here, I tried fetching a data from the student table, which I created some time back. And if you look at here, like why I describe this student table, because I wanted to show what information it stores when it creates the table. ID is a type or field or column, you say. It's a field ID of type int. Does it allows not? No. Okay. Key is something which is I mentioned, like it's a constraint, and we're mentioning that is a primary constraint here. Default we haven't given any value. Extra there is nothing. Name again, one more field. It's of type varchar. So whatever we have done, it has allowed us to create the table and describe the table student. Now anyone has any queries? Now we just created a table, right? But I want to insert some data into it, isn't it? So how would I know that data? I want to fetch the data. So without any insert operation, I won't be able to see a data. Data is there on that table or not. So I'll try to use this. Bring it here. To just create a table, but I want to insert few records. So in order to do that, so it's an ID, name, department, each and every. So salary is something good. Something. inserting 3 records into the student. It says MySQL number 8 position. There's a pin. Number 28 trying to insert a record. Try to decimal and see. Tax what is that exactly? 93 ID link dates transaction ID integer is
आयुष पूछिए।
आवाज ही नहीं आ रही।
anyone have any query?
कृष्णा सर आपका वॉइस स्लो आ रहा है।
Okay. अभी ठीक है? हेलो
नहीं सर।
एक बार वो निकल के फिर रिज्वाइन करें, यदि नेटवर्क दिक्कत है तो। आवाज तो बिल्कुल नहीं आ रही है।
हेलो अभी आवाज आ रही है?
Yes,
जी
sir.
जी आ रही है।
Audible.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for confirmation. I'll get started. Okay, just line 27. 1, 2, 3 student ID int. Just comma.
I think salary has some issue.
Salary. Try doing that. 1 second. It should work. I am feeling there is an issue here. There is an issue. Looks like in the here it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Your voice is not audible. You are not audible, Krishna.
Is it okay? Are you? Can you
Now
hear
it
me?
is fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Fine. Okay. ID is there. Name is there. Salesman is there. And it should allow actually. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, accounting. Not accounting. Looks like I don't see a complete error here. Line number 30. Someplace it is showing this symbol here. That is what I am having a doubt here.
Actually, that symbol, that cell is there. The quote you have started now, it is different, I guess. The cells.
Yeah, that I understood because when I copied from here,
Yeah.
it is a proper here. When I copy paste there is an issue. Okay. Okay, let us do one thing.
कृष्णा सर,
हाँ हाँ
ये आप टर्मिनल पे यूज़ करेंगे ना तो वर्क करेगा, बट ऑनलाइन एडिटर पे ये प्रॉब्लम आता है.
हाँ हाँ पता है.
ओके, कोई
I think-
ऐसे हैं जो ऑलरेडी अपने लैपटॉप में प्रैक्टिकल कर रहे हैं, तो वो स्क्रीन शेयर करके देख सकते हैं, वहाँ पे वर्क करेगा. कोई है क्या?
ओके यहाँ पे ये डेटाबेस सही से ये टूल सही काम नहीं कर रहा है. लेट्स ट्राई विथ सम अदर टूल. Oh. We have to download this. Wait for some time. Yeah, sorry for this delay. I really apologize. I was having some MySQL issue in my local database. I thought to use this, so but having some issue with this, but that's fine. We can stretch bit. Uh, what we have done is we created a table earlier, right? And we wanted to insert few record into it. So we tried uh, like we tried a couple of editor. We didn't work out because it had one or other issue, and UI was not that great to use. But now we have insert few records, and we're talking about creating table, right? We could able to create successfully the table, and we wanted to insert few record into it. So why I wanted to have a table with different column? Why? Because we should be knowing that like each we should be knowing more and more data types. That is the only the purpose of having. We can have ID, we have varchar, we have decimal. So this is mostly used, commonly used database type in today's world. Now let's check data is being added or not. So so there has been an issue using this editor, like where I'm selecting something, but it is taking everything. I mean, selection is not working, but that's fine. So if you look at here, I added 3 records here. If you look at, I added 3 records. If you look at a notice here, I added some 0 value. So that 0 value has been not taken in consider because it doesn't have any value. Okay. Probably we would have added some after precision. We would have added some values here, so would have been appeared here. Just try running now. If you look at here, right, we tried adding one more record with precision. After dot, there is a precision. We have value here, 0.5. Let me plug it in. Yeah. Now that's about the insert. We wanted to insert few records. Why we did that? Because after creating a table, we should know we should be able to insert few record into that table. So therefore, I have to insert some few record into it. So we did that. Okay. Now once we insert, anyone has any queries, anything about this? Like, okay, anyone? Okay, there is something we can discuss in this topic, but if you have anyone queries, if no, then I'll go and get started. So there are, if you looked at here, right, I described the table, and you see there are some constraints on the table, right? So I'll just copy, paste, right? And now I just try to describe this. Okay. Describe here doesn't work. Maybe. Okay. We run this. It won't be doing this because we added this. I just wanted to run and show you something here. Okay, if you look at here, right? So there are null, ace, no. If you look at here, right? So key is something I talked about, right? Enforcing some rules to the table column. Then if you look at null, there is something we have mentioned here is ID int null. Do you have null? Okay. No. Name, do you have none? No. Department, do you have none? No. Why it is that? But null is not allowed. In this, null is not allowed. Therefore, null is not allowed. That's why we are putting not null a constraint. This is one more constraint. Along with primary key, we added for name and department. That is what I was talking about. Let's say salary is a field which null is accepted. Okay, where null is meaning that there is no constraint has been enforced to this column, meaning that we can insert without salary. We can insert record without salary into the student table. Okay, let us do that. Okay, I want to talk about here now. See, insert into, so this is the insert into a command. It's insert into the table, right? But we haven't mentioned any columns here, right? Like what we did, we have 5 columns, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so we have 4 column or field in student table, right? Isn't it? Now, but we haven't mentioned any fields here, right? We haven't mentioned any field. Okay, I want to add into ID. I want to add into the name, or I want to add it to what department. So I haven't mentioned it. Why? Because when you don't mention, it considers that you want to insert a record into the all the columns of the student table. That is a self understanding. When you create a student table, it understood that you are going to insert all the column values, right? So that is why we don't mention the column name. Let's talk about that now. What we are talking this now, right? We're talking about salary, right? It allows null is means you can put any null values. Salary can be accepted null because it's a we haven't enforced any rule to the this column, right? Now let us do that. Now I want to create one more table. I don't want to insert anything. I will have one more column. The name is Pankaj. And he is in sales. Now, but I should be mentioning those columns. Now, what happens? Let's see what happens if I just run this. Okay, what does it say? Table student has 4 columns, but 3 values were supplied. Right? Has 4 columns, 3 values supplied. Now let us say if I want to insert a record into just those 3 columns. ID, which are those? ID, name, department. ID, name, department. What it did, it simply ran, right? I didn't do anything magic here, but I'm just telling you, right? What I did, I just specified these 3 columns here, and it worked. Awesome, right? What we did, we just added the column which are required, right? Not required column, it will take default values. So I'll just quickly run and show you. Okay, if you look at here, 5, number, next ID has been added as 5. Pankaj, this record has been added. If you look at the salary, right, it's not there. Anything is not there. Why? Because we haven't added anything and there were no constraint on this salary decimal table. Now, if I just say not null here, okay. Now in that case, if I have to create this table, which I am not going to do it right now, but I'm just explaining them. In this case, if I add just not null, this would have not been work. This would have been not work. Anyone has any doubt here? Anyone? If you are good, please thumbs up. Now, let's get started with the next. Now, update. In update, basically, I hope everyone understood what is the create does, what insert does. Anyone had any doubt? Please talk about it. If no, then we will get started with the next topic. Now, we're talking about the next command, that is DML command, that is update. What is it? Update. So what is use of update? Anyone want to try? Can anyone try answering? What is update? Why we use update? Okay. Yeah, Ashish.
Yeah, actually, update is nothing but we want to modify some existing records in the table. So for that purpose, we are going to use update.
Okay, nice. Very well said. So update is a command, DML command, which we use to update the existing record of a table. Right? And to update a table, to update a table, what we do basically, we have a syntax, right? Syntax for updating. It's an update, immediately a table name. Let's say update employee, or we have created already student. Let's say student. Update student. I want to update the salary of the student whose ID is 5. Okay. So first I will write the syntax, then we'll get started with the example set. So set is a keyword to set the value of the column. So we'll have to specify column and column value. Now, if I do that, it will this syntax. It will, if I do run this command, it will update. It will update in all the record with this value. It will update all the record of column with this value. Okay. So we have to be using update very carefully. Why? Because update updates all the record of that column if you don't specify any where clause. Can someone go on mute, please, if you are not talking?
Sorry, actually, yeah.
Yeah. So now here we are. If you want to update a particular record, we have to use a where clause, and where is a keyword to specify the conditional, like which record you want to update or modify. So where a column again, column name and column value, or just a value you can say. Now here it's a syntax, right? If I talk about an example, what I have to do? Update student column set, sorry, column is salary. What was my use case? Use case was to update the salary of the student who has ID 5. I have to update a salary. Salary you can update to something, let's say 40,000. Now to do this, what I have to do, I write an update query on student table and I have to set the salary to 40,000, where ID equal to 5. Now if I take this query, copy and come back. I came here. Now what I'm doing here, update student set salary. Let's say I want to put to some 60 something, just to tell that it accepts 7 decibel. And 5 is who? Pankaj is in sales department, and whose salary is right now nothing. It's empty, right? I want to update a salary for Pankaj. What I do? I just write an update query. Have been run. Query has been run. There is no error. And I'll just quickly fetch records. So if you look at here, we have been updated salary for student Pankaj. Now, you might have queries here like why you have used ID, sir, right? So why I haven't used ID because why I have used ID because ID is unique. Okay, how can we say ID is unique? Because ID has constant primary key. So it won't allow duplicate. Okay. Now there could be one use case where I want to update a salary, same salary for all the employees. Let's say we have hired onboarded 10, 20 employees whose salary is same. So from UI you got a data, salary and the name. So what do? Again, you write a query, but in this case, let's say let's say I wanted to update by name. So what I will do? I have to write. I just can't write with the help of name because I can have multiple student with the name Pankaj. It is possible, right? In college or in school, right? You see, there are students who has similar names, right? With the same name, you will find multiple students. It is possible, right? Ramesh, Ganesh. Like let's say with Pankaj, if we have, then we cannot use just a name here. We should be using ID, or if you are very sure, then you should be using ID and name. But I would say whenever we are inserting and updating a record, okay, we should use the ID, right? And that is a primary key. We should avoid using any other columns, right? Now, I was asked, I had asked one question like if I have 5 students and 10 students newly joined, so I have to write. I mean they newly joined, so I have to write 10 queries to insert. So I have to write insert into 10 queries with the name, department, and salary. Now let's say that is like simple queries we can write and we can insert the records. Now we talked about update. Now we talked about updating a column. Now we talked about updating column with where, right? With where clause or where clause, right? So what we did, we use where we're specifying. We are filtering out the columns right here using the where clause. Now what we did, we put a where ID equal to 5. We have filtered out all the columns apart from 5, right? So those all the column had got been filtered out and we just updating column 5 now. Now let's say if I don't use this, irrespective of all students, right? Irrespective of any students, it is trying to update the salary to 40,000. Now let's come here. Now you say this student has joined at one time and I want to update their salary to 40,000. What I will do, I'll use the same query, but I will remove this. So what it does, it will update salary to 40,000 for all the students. Now if I quickly run above query, select query, has been updated or not. So it has been updated all the employee salary to 40,000. So that is the power of the update query if you are not using the where clause. All right. So there is a benefit of using where clause, or I mean actually there is a benefit of where clause. But if you don't use, okay, there is also benefit of using the not using the where clause. Because if you are not using the where clause, my job will become simple because it's depend on the type of requirement, a type of job we have or task we have. Based on that, we should be very careful. So that is about the update. Anyone has any questions, queries, please raise. hopefully no. Let's get started with next command is delete. Now delete, it's as you know that delete will delete the record of all the records or like partial record from the table. No, why I mention all and partial is because it's depend how you use the delete. Okay, delete has its own syntax. Delete have to so delete from table name, delete from table from table name where column name and value. So this is a syntax. An example, let's say in this table, how many records we have? 5 records. Now I wanna delete all the records whose salary is 40,000. Okay, so in order to do that, what I have to do, I can write a simple query. Delete from table name student. What I did, wrote a query, delete from student where salary is 40,000. So if you look at, the query has been run. Let's see anything is there in the table. You see anything, nothing is there. This is from this table actually. Let me comment this. I'll run it again. Do you see? Result set is empty, meaning there is no record. So this is a power of delete query. I set a few records here again. Now in this query, now I deleted salary deleted all the employee whose salary was 40,000. Now I don't want to delete only particular employee record. So what I will do, I'll put a ID equal to 1. Let's say ID equal to 1. If I delete this, it will just delete the record whose ID is 1. It's clear. If I do that, it will only delete ID. Okay. So it is right. It is what it is saying. It is unique constraint. Fail to delete student ID. Okay. Now in this table, right? Whose ID is equal to 1 and has unique constraint. Okay, let me select the records. Okay, I think this time again it got enabled. Now I'll just try to run now. Maybe it has been run. Yeah, now let's see. We have run the query and ID with 1 has been removed. removed from the table, whose name was Clark. So ID with ID 1, Clark 1 record was there. Now it's not there. So this is one more usage of deleting the record from the table. Now we try deleting. We can let's say you don't want to put anything and you want to delete all the record from the table. Yeah, you can do that. If you simply go here and delete it. Now you run the query, delete. So there are different uses of using the student table. You can either delete partially or you can delete completely from the student table. Anyone has any queries, questions, please ask. So with this, we have finished DML, right? And if anyone has any queries, questions, please do ask. Okay, I think we are at 7:31. If anyone want to ask anything, please do raise your hand. All right, I think we don't have any questions. I think we can wrap it up then. Yes, Satyaprakash,
Yeah.
over to you.
ओके थैंक यू कृष्णा सर. सो नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम लोग देखेंगे नेक्स्ट जो भी आज बहुत सारे लोगों को ग्रुप में भी मैसेज कर दूंगा मैं. वो लोग अपना जो आज बताएं और रिकॉर्डिंग सेशन भी यूट्यूब पे अपलोड करके लोगों को शेयर कर दूंगा. जो नई क्लास ज्वाइन कर पाए वो अपना देख लेंगे और लैब करेंगे. थैंक यू सर.
Thank you. Bye.
ओके.